wanted to do a video of a reading from my book, Omah. I know with my novel, Devil's Den, I did a video like this, but I added in, sound effects and some pictures and music, things like that. And I thought that with my novel, Omah, I'd do something a little bit different. I actually found myself reading the book, live, just like if I was reading it to you in person. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, and with that said, I'll read the foreword to help give you an idea of how the story came about, and then I'll go on to read chapter 1 in my book, Omah. Alright, so the foreword. This is a story that came to life while I had the privilege of visiting a beautiful country in Northern California back in the winter of 2016. I was completely awestruck at the beauty of the landscape, from the breathtaking forest of redwoods and jagged mountains to the vast Pacific Ocean. Northern California truly is a special place. Not to mention, it is right in the center of Bigfoot country. Now, having been a Bigfoot enthusiast for most of my life, I instantly felt right at home. The pictures you see are the time I had there with my family. It was with my experience in Northern California that I was inspired to write my first story. I'd never written anything before and simply dove off the deep end in hopes of learning to swim. The original story, titled The Legend of Omah, was just a simple short story written by a true beginner of the craft. Over the following years, I wrestled with the nudge to rewrite the story and expand it into a full-length novel. It wasn't until February of 2019 that I began just that. For the next 10 weeks, I was up most every morning, seated at my desk no later than 6 o'clock, hammering away upon the keyboard. By the second week of April, I had the first draft of Omah complete, which as of today is my third novel among a half dozen or so short stories. While the characters are mostly fictional, the towns are actual places you can visit in Northern California. With the chase scene in Chapter 8 being a true story that happened to my mother, Randall, and her friend in rural South Carolina during the 1970s. The scene that takes place in the beginning of Chapter 31 is loosely based off what happened to my mom's dad, her brother, and 2 neighbors just weeks before her encounter. I didn't want this to be another cheesy Sasquatch story filled with blood, guts, and people screaming aimlessly through the woods, though it does have its share of creepy scenes, just without gore. But I want it to be different in a good way, in a way that I hope will deeply connect with the readers as they find themselves engrossed and drawn into the authenticity of the story and its characters. The story is not out to prove, one way or another, that Bigfoot does or doesn't exist. It just simply asks the question, what if he does? This is a story about hope, family, nature, and our connection to the earth and its creator. One in which takes a moment to stop and gaze with wonder at the beauty set before us in nature's majestic display, with hopes of bringing about a new appreciation for nature, family, and all that makes life worth living. And it also goes to show that you should never judge a book by its cover, no pun intended. Told with real-life encounters and filled with Native American wisdom, this story has been an absolute blast to write, and I'm ecstatic to be able to finally share it with everyone. Alright, I'll go on to read chapter 1 in what I like to call my Uncle Joe voice to kind of help give it a little extra flavor. Chapter 1. The light had died hours earlier, as the darkness now creeps deeper into the night. A crescent moon peeks out behind wispy clouds, the air brisk and chill enough for breath to steam. Towering redwoods continue a 1,000-year journey to reach the heavens. They stand on each side of the meandering road, which snakes around the hills and mountains like a river in the Amazon. A light mist had begun to fall after a good rain. The strong and refreshing scent of leaves and earth filled the cab of the Ford pickup truck. A low-lying fog crawls across the road, which is narrower than most. A sharp decline to the left and the high rock wall on the right seemed to eat away at the asphalt the further the truck continued down the mountain. With a tight grip and a balmy palm, the leather wheel cover was like trying to grip a wet bar of soap. In the back of the black truck, under a blue tarp, lay 2 poached deer, which the brothers had taken while spotlighting on the way home from work. A long day of the logging crew could always be made better with a truck bed full of meat. Even though they both already reached their bag limits for the season, Travis and Dave Hodges never paid it much mind. They knew where the wardens weren't, and they took full advantage of that fact. The tires roared as they rubbed away their tread against the damp asphalt. The stereo struggled to find a signal as it skipped through most of a Brad Paisley song before Travis decided to shut it off. His brother Dave checked his phone while riding shotgun. "Huh, 1 bar. Figures," Dave said with a smirk. Travis looked over to him. "Yeah, probably won't pick up till we get back to Plymouth." Angling around a sharp bend, the headlamps poked into a thin patch of fog coming down the mountain and inching to the ravine below. It reminded Travis of a passing freight train while waiting at a railroad crossing. A sudden flash of a darkened silhouette got Travis's attention. Before he could even turn his head, it had streaked in front of the truck in efforts to cross the road. Travis slammed the brakes, tires screeching and skidding around the curve, hard in his throat and glutes pinching the seat cover. A costly misjudgment sent the large figure slamming into the front passenger side of the truck. Crinkling the metal and busting out a headlight, it jolted atop the hood and smacked the windshield before rolling off and thudding onto the cool and steaming asphalt. Travis and Dave stopped in a ditch about 30 yards away after Travis skimmed the side of the mountain. Steam billowed from the engine with a hiss. The dash was lit up like a Christmas tree. The interior lights flashed, the radio squawked, time blinking its green digital numbers, 121. An irritating ding continued until Travis unbuckled from his seatbelt. His vision blurry, his mind foggy, he blinked in rhythm with the dings enough time to clear his sight. He tried to turn on his caution lights, but the truck seemed to forget what they were. The truck was more confused than he was. His brother Dave moaned and clenched his forehead with both palms. A red flow snaked down his fingers and wrist. Travis scrounged and found an old shirt wadded under his seat and tossed it to his brother. Travis winced and grabbed the side of his head after he did so. His left ear and temple felt like they had taken a cheap shot from Tyson as a hot pain seared across his flesh. A throbbing welt wasn't far behind. Travis blinked again and flexed his jaw. He felt the side of his head with his right fingers. He stole a glance at the side mirror to the big man lying in the road behind them. The man squirmed and grunted in effort to get to his feet. Must be homeless or something. Travis grasped the door handle. The door popped open with another ding. Feeling like he was trying to gain his balance in a raft upon a troubled sea, Travis found the pavement and steadied himself against the door of the truck. "You okay, man?" Travis beckoned with another wince. The man grunted and snorted out a long breath that looked like steam from a coal train. Limping to the back of the truck, his hand gripping the bed rail, Travis asked, "Man, are you alright?" More huffing, more steam rising to the night sky. Finally, the man sat up and formed an L. In that instant, the world stopped. Travis felt like a rat stuck in a glue trap. His heart knocked against his ribs, his veins thumping in his neck like a subwoofer. He felt his spirit fly to that crescent moon behind the clouds, leaving him there to fend for himself. The moon high in the background shone its light around the man sitting on the pavement. His long hair waved in the passing breeze. The stench of rotten eggs and soured socks ripped the air. Travis gagged and was forced to hide all but his eyes beneath the neck of his shirt. Travis's blood had turned to a cool slush as a douse of it trod up his spine. "Dave! Dave! Dave!" The The size of the man in the road was twice that of any Travis had ever met. Travis's whole body began to quiver. "Dave! Dave!" Hearing his voice, the hairy silhouette snapped its head toward him like an owl. Travis's breath caught in his chest as it couldn't pass the lump that had formed in his throat. His heart struggled to pump blood fast enough for his pulse. The passenger door opens. 2 feet land on the pavement. Dave hobbles along the side of the truck, one hand pressing the reddening shirt to his face, the other sliding along the bed rail. The hairy silhouette pushed off the pavement and stood on wobbly feet, hunched at the spine, but still towering any man standing 6 feet or more. This guy was massive, at least 7 foot. Dave coughed out his question. "What?" "Look!" Travis's voice was cut off by the bone-rattling howl that had emitted from the hairy man's lungs, which must have been the size of 2 propane tanks, judging by how long and baritone it was. A glimmer of light peeked around the bend behind the hairy man. His head jerked to it. Within 2 seconds, he had jolted to the guardrail, tossing himself over and down the ravine. It sounded like a tank had been rolled off the cliff. Trees snapped as if they were toothpicks. The crunching of leaves and logs continued until they were drowned out by the tires and blaring radio of the approaching SUV. The brakes squealed as the tires crunched over loose pebble. The red front bumper was held in place by duct tape. The passenger window struggled to lower, the true definition of a clunker. What in the world do you say after something like this? Would anyone ever believe such a story? Did he and his brother really just see that? Should they even tell anyone? "You guys alright?" A younger fellow with a face full of acne and eyes redder than a square-bodied Jeep Cherokee asked as he lowered his head and peered across the center console at Travis and Dave. Travis struggled for the words, his breath huffing out faster than he could think. "Can you get us an ambulance? My brother's cut pretty good, and we should probably call the game warden too." Travis manages to get out in between breaths. Travis felt the look from his brother and heard him clear a phlegm. "Right. Well, wait about the game warden. We'll call him tomorrow," Travis said while stealing a glance into the bed of the truck at the tarp covering the 2 deer. His eyes were then drawn to the guardrail where the creature had disappeared. So that's it for chapter 1. If you find it interesting, if you'd like to learn what happens in the rest of the story and all that, you can check out my book. You can click on the link I'll be posting with this, or you can go to Amazon and search Randall Omah to find you a copy and like I said, learn what happens next in the story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything about the story or my books, anything in general, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you and answer it the best I can and everything. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy reading like this, and thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. All the best.